Hey y'all,
I'm Courtney,
and I'm Sarah.
and this is Bada Siblers.
The podcast where we read the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
Oh boy, y'all. This is...
How's everyone doing today? Everybody having a good day?
She's saying that because we're avoiding delving into 11-year-old Sarah's psyche.
Yeah, this is a Sarah heavy book coming out. We got a lot. We get a real kind of a window into what the fuck you were reading.
Oh, yeah, what the fuck I was, thinking. So we're going to talk about Victoria Holt's Shadow of the Lynx today. And the reason why we're, making these faces is that I was so into this book when I was in 6th grade, so I guess actually maybe 10, that I tried to rename myself Lynx, and I started signing my school papers, as in with, a long L that went all under the other letters. And, of course, the teachers are like, Sarah, ? In red pen over that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's the thing that happened. And we're going to talk about why when we talk about this. But first, we'll tell you
Trigger warnings.
Trigger warnings. There's nothing really bad in this. There is a really controlling man, and there is an attempted rape that ends up with the really controlling man blowing the other dude's head off. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's cathartic, I guess.
And there's murder.
Yeah, well, there's lots of murder, but it's kind of English country house style
English
murder.
country house murder. And we're kind of doing this new segment to prove to y'all that we don't just read trashy 1970s books. So we're going to talk about, what the fuck else we're reading.
Yeah.
So I have been reading, I've really enjoyed, this is a romance, genre book, books, an author named Sarah Ney. And her books she's got, a whole series of them. They're all, they usually deal with, a douchey sports player and, a nerdy girl, and they're amazing. So she's got one series called How to Date a Douchebag. That's absolutely outstanding.
I kind of feel like that I've already mastered that, though.
Yeah. But they're really cute. I've enjoyed Sarah Ney's How to Date a Douchebag. And she's got another one called, Jockro. So those are really fun. And we'll link to them on our website in case you need. And her, her sex can get it.
Oh, yeah?
It can
All right.
get it. And
okay,
it's,
so I
dirty
might...
talking. And, yeah. So I've enjoyed those.
Well, I'll recommend this book that we're going to talk about, Shadow of the Lynx, is set in Australia. So I happened to read just because some coworkers really like it. It's this, I guess you call it a crime thriller. It's not really it's a mystery, but the thriller kind of mystery. It's called The Dry by Jane Harper, and it's also set in Australia, and it also definitely deals with a very extremely dry landscape where fire is a constant threat. But it's a really super tightly plotted thriller.
Because we have fire in this.
Yeah, see, exactly. So it's related to this book, but it's also, if you just want to read a page turner, just a really tightly, really competent thriller where everything makes sense, but was not totally obvious from the beginning, I really recommend it. Just a really tight, awesome thriller.
I have to say, this made me want to go back and revisit Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I deal with Australian shit, I'm like, Picnic at Hanging Rock. So that's another one we can recommend too. And the Amazon, I think it's on Amazon.
I didn't see. Did you see the remake?
Oh, it's so fun and weird.
Really?
And yes.
I saw the original, of course, is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. So if you haven't watched that, I think it's on Amazon. It was really good. So what the fuck are we drinking today?
Wow.
Well, I got the multiple stores that I went to. All of the Australian wines that they had was just Yellowtail. I was like, well, I can't
Which
do
is
that.
nice because there's tons of great Australian wines.
Yeah, and then but they were tits up in New Zealand wine. And I was like, well, I could get some Kiwi wine. I was like, no, that's cheating.
They know the difference.
Exactly. So I got a rosé called Noble Vines, and I felt like we're dealing with a family that has a little bit of imposter syndrome and desperately, no matter how much money they want, they're never gonna be landed gentry. So I felt fit, and also it's a rosé, and this book has that very 1970s rosé feel to it.
Yeah, it does.
So.
Yeah, the copy that I read, which is I'm actually the copy that I interlibrary loaned, had the same cover. This really cool old painted cover that they used to do for this kind of. This is not really a romance. This is more like a Gothic novel, a straight up Gothic novel. But that cool painted cover, but it's almost like a pointillist.
Yeah, the cover that we have for the book that we have has a girl with some insane hair that is a blonde. And
it's like Dumbo, only it's a girl.
Yeah, her hair is bananas. And then we have the house. There's going to be a house that we talk about a lot in there that's on the cover as well. So the back cover, this book came out in
1971.
And this is the back jacket. Okay. Set against sunny backdrop of Gold Rush, Australia, and the dark one of Victorian England, The Shadow of the Lynx is the story of Nora Tamazin, a strong-willed young woman who nevertheless falls under the power of a strange man called Lynx, and falls in love with both him and his son. And I feel like that's very much not... I mean, that is a point in the book, but this book isn't
not
really
the feeling
about
of the book,
what this is about at all.
It's about obsession.
It's kind of a crazy book.
Yeah, it is a ball up. I did not expect what having read it back when I was a kid, I did not know what to expect, and this is not what I expected.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so
Let's jump right in.
Let's jump right in. So Nora, she's one of your kind of Gothic heroines. She's been raised by her father, her adventurer father. She's at a boarding school, and then he stops sending her letters, and so she knows that he's mining gold in Australia. And he's talked about this, Charles Herrick guy who they call the Lynx. And she's, heard all these great stories about this magnetic, cruel personality. But, yeah, she stops getting letters, and she's just beside herself with worry, and everybody's, giving each other side eye, how long are we going to let her stay in the girls' dorm as opposed to under the attic? So it's very much like a little princess. Eventually they're yeah, you know what, you haven't had your tuition paid in some time, you work here now. But finally, she does get a letter, and it's from this Charles Herrick guy who they call the Lynx, and evidently, her father did die, but, asked him to take, responsibility for her, so now she's the Lynx's ward, and so he's sending her to Australia to go and live with him. So she, kind of gets a little snotty. She goes on a shopping trip with, the teachers, and, and she's I think I'll get all these fancy things, ha ha ha. And so they take her, very properly to go meet who they expect to be Adelaide, Lynx's daughter, but actually it's Sterling, Lynx's son, who is there, and it's at a weird place. It's not where you would go to just, meet a steamship. It's, some other bizarre city.
It's like a little country village.
It's, one of those, roads on inn kind of places. And they pass by this, super big house, this beautiful old, the middle of the house is medieval, called White Ladies. Oh, that's a pretty house. Dun dun dun. And so she meets this dude Sterling, and they kind of have a little bit of they're to be kind of siblings now.
A little flirty.
Yeah, a little flirty. She's he's not bad looking. He's all right. And they kind of get involved in this caper where she wants to see over the wall of White Ladies, and the wind does actually take her scarf, and so she has to go get it. They have to go knocking on the door. And they meet this family who lives there, and it's Minta, who's a bit younger than Nora, and Lucy, who's kind of the paid companion, who's Nora's age, and, Minta's mother. And then they meet a few other people, Franklin, whatever. And through all this, Sterling gives no impression that, he has anything to do with this house whatsoever. This is a house he has never heard of before, which is not the case, it turns out.
Yeah, so... You really like Nora. Nora's spunky. She's fun. She obviously misses her dad, but it's okay, adventure time. So, yeah. She, is just sort of, down for whatever.
She's obviously in over her head, though, because, you can already tell that there's shit going on here.
Sterling's, very opposite her. She's, kind of fanciful and fun, and Sterling's... I mean, he's sarcastic and got, a little bit of a mean edge to him. But
he's still kind of... I don't know. He seems very young for some reason.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's because he's completely in his dad's shadow.
Yeah.
But they get on their boat and they go to Australia. Yeah. And there's this, weird interlude where they find a stowaway. And she, kind of throws herself on, please, 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 please save little Jimmy. And Sterling does. He's Dad's gonna be so fucking pissed that I wasted money on this. But, she's please. And
so she's I'll take the fall for it.
Yeah. And so, little Jimmy is their friend forever. And when they get off the boat in Sydney, and they, they get clothes and all this stuff. And they meet Adelaide, who is the sister.
They're in Melbourne, actually.
Oh, that's right. Melbourne. They are. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just know this because that's where my brother's moving. Is Melbourne.
Oh, yeah. Secret brother. Is that bad? That's wrong.
No, that's the way he sings it. I've been singing it another way. For people who don't know, I found a long-lost sibling on Ancestry.com. I put it on Twitter. It's super fun. But yeah, he's moving to Melbourne. And I've been watching a Melbourne sitcom called Kath and Kim, so I feel I know Melbourne. I could be our expert because of sitcoms and
Well, I think it's a little different at this time period. It's during the Australian Gold Rush. No, it's exactly the same? Okay.
Anyway, so they're moving to Melbourne.
Well, they're not
outside. That's the port that they go into, and then they're probably 40 miles away.
Stop punching the couch, please.
Sorry, I got excited.
They can hear you.
That's me punching the couch.
They're outside, just like in, weirdly, it's so funny, Pride of the Peacock, our very first episode, came out several years after this, but Victoria Holt evidently only had a couple ideas that she wanted to recycle.
She really recycles
the
ideas.
It was weird, yeah, so, like, the strangest ideas, too, because they get to the Lynx's holdings, and of course it's enormous, because, like, if you own acreage in Australia at the time, you own acreage. And he has a gold mine and everything. So they get there, and it's a copy of White Ladies.
Yeah.
Just exactly like the damn Pride of the Peacock thing.
Yeah.
It's like an exact copy, and she's like, well, this is a little fucking creepy, Sterling, since you didn't say anything about having heard of this fucking...
And he's like, oh yeah, they kind of look the same, don't they?
Yeah, well, I guess it's just a pretty house.
Yeah.
And then, like, she's like, well, but what is she gonna do? I mean, like, she can't, like...
Yeah, she's with these people, so.
Yeah, she's like, and in it to win it, because, like, otherwise, like, she's just gonna governess it? Like, nah, she's gotta... So... it has an isolated house, and I mean, like, of course, everybody there is completely loyal to the Lynx, and they have a gold mine, and all this. But she immediately starts out with a sassy relationship with the Lynx.
Yeah, the Lynx is, like, somebody that's been built up so much about, like, he's kind of this, as she jokes to Sterling, like, this god, like, character, where she calls him Zeus, and, like, all this stuff. And the Lynx does this thing where he talks about her in, like, a third-person situation. He's like, well, how did she enjoy her trip?
Like, they're at the dinner table, and he's like, and she's like, well, she's got some spot. I like her a lot. I really do. But he's like this guy who, like, when he was getting, like shitty service, I guess, from the people who work for him, he put up a painting of himself in their, like, bunkhouse, and they're terrified of him. Yeah. This is, like, one of those guys. This is, like, the guy that they write, like, who is this incredibly magnetic, controlling, but, like, you can't help but, like, be mesmerized by him, dude.
It's like a little bit of a Svengali thing going on.
He's like this extremely, like, he has like a huge physical presence. Yeah, like he's a very physical guy. But so, but you already learn when you get there that, like, kind of life is cheap out there, and the people are always running off to go hunting for gold. Like, the cook is gone, and then they find out that they find the bodies in the brush. Like, they came back to ask for their jobs back, and the Lynx is like, no, dude, we have one rule here: if you leave, that is it. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, like, he expects absolute loyalty, which, I mean, like, he's one of those guys, I guess, who are like, the rules are simple, but the rules are absolute. Yeah. So, and she kind of turns her nose up at the whole gold thing. Like, she sees the illnesses
because her father had been killed.
Yeah.
Her father was out near a mine, and her father had been robbed by some, like, bandits. And so she essentially blames gold for killing her father, because her father left her in England to go to Australia to strike it rich. So her father always had he's one of those guys that's, like, always got, like, a get-rich quick scheme, and it ultimately killed him, and so she hates gold.
He, like, invented shit too. He was like a real, like, one of those, like, quirky dudes. Like, yeah.
So she hates gold because it killed her father.
Also, I mean, she sees the miners and they're sick with, like, various, like, respiratory illnesses, and she sees that, like, the cooks and Jimmy runs off. Yeah. And then he dies in the bush, even. Yeah. Like, so all these things happen, and then she's just, like, completely against the concept of looking for gold, and then Lynx is like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So they start doing this kind of nightly thing, which always happens with this kind of guy. You get a nightly ritual. Yeah. He has her dad's chess set.
That he, like,
which is supposed to be hers.
And he stole it and was like, well, I'll give it back to you if you beat me.
Yeah. And he's not gonna, like, he's a tough chess player.
And you know what? I'm gonna I need to see when this came out, but, like, Vicky Holt, I feel like you might have been stealing this a little bit from, oh god,
Handmaid's Tale? Because that's what I was thinking of, which is probably not what she wanted me to think. That's the 80s.
Hold on. We'll talk and talk some
It'll
more.
come to you.
It'll come to me.
But yeah, so they're having this, like, kind of, that kind of sparring conversation that you get, where you start to like the person.
Sexy chess conversation.
Yeah. But it does remind me of The Handmaid's Tale, which is, I'm sure, well, obviously not intended because it was, like, the wrong time period, but that, like, here you are at this incredible disadvantage, and you're in, like, this artificial playing field with somebody where maybe you feel like you can get away with sassing them a bit more than you could normally, but essentially you are owned by them, body and soul, right? So, yeah, there's this dude, Jagger, who is, like, the manager, like, of the mine, I guess. And he's super gross, and he's always, like, staring at her, and, like, just saying disgusting things to her, and she's like, oh, but then she's like, evidently it's hard to find a good fucking manager. So, live with it.
Okay. So, Vicky Holt, I'm gonna call you out, because you have stolen the sexy chess scene from the original Thomas Crown
affair
from 1968 with Faye Dunaway.
I should have guessed that's where you were going.
Steve McQueen and Will Mills in my mind playing. So, all right, back to whatever.
Yeah. Back to reality. So, yeah, so there's this dude, Jagger, and, like, evidently they're not going to get rid of him because, like, he produces for the, like, for the reality. What the fuck does she do?
He had, like... There was a maid that said that she was pregnant and that he had raped her, and Nora's like, this is upsetting, and everybody else is like, this is Australia.
Meanwhile, all the other people on this place, all the other women have children who look just like the Lynx.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he fucks the help like, whoa. But that's fine, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so she goes out, she likes to go out riding. She's a decent rider. She does kind of make some mistakes, like she picks a horse that's too big for her and all, but she gets better, and so she really enjoys it because she learns how to go out there. She learns how to camp. Like, it's this whole thing that she learns how to be more Australian. But she goes out often to just, like, ride out and sit and think. And she's doing that one day, and then Jagger comes up behind her, and he tries to rape her. But then all of a sudden, the Lynx blows his fucking head off.
Yeah, the Lynx is there and is like, Jagger, stand up, and then shoots him.
Yeah.
And it was a very, like, kind of shift between them, and, like, she grows up a little, and the Lynx, obviously he's doing it because it's
his property that got threatened, yeah.
Well, but the thing I liked about Nora, too, is, she's upset that this guy's been murdered. She was like, well, what about the authorities? Like, did you call the authorities? And he's like, yeah, but I didn't want to upset you, but this is what happens. Like, this is how it's handled in the bush.
And he even has, like, this scene where, like, it's like he's got Jagger's body, like, on a, like, I don't know, sawhorses or whatever.
It makes everybody come and look at it.
Yeah, he's like, this is what fucking happens if you touch my property.
Yeah. It was...
And then she has never bothered again.
Yeah, I did not... Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's this incredibly controlling guy, but, yeah, it's kind of... It's emotionally complicated, I guess
and
you say.
Again, she's 17 when the book starts out. We need to point this out. She's 17 when the book starts out. We don't really ever know his age. We know that he came to Australia 35 years beforehand.
Yeah, so he is at least...
in his 50s, I would think. Like...
He's one of those, like, older men who are, like, really, like have the really hard arms, Yeah, well...
Okay, continue.
Okay, yeah, so, and then... After that, she is out, like, trying to, like, kind of come to terms more with her father's death. She goes to the place where he died. And guess what it's full of? Gold.
She goes to try to drink some water and then notices, like, gold dust all over her hand. And then she sees a piece of gold that's, like
a nugget, like a chunk of gold.
She said it's nutmeg size. And then later... After she tells the Lynx that she found it, because she kind of, like, weighs the options of saying something or not, but she tells him...
Because she hates this gold thing, and this is not his land.
No. And so she tells him, and, like, you find out later, like, he's found one, like, that's, like, thousands of, like, grams or something. Like, it's, like, basically, like, they found one whole piece that was enough to make them rich, and not just what's in the mine.
So she does go to him with it, even though she wasn't sure she should because of this whole gold obsession thing that people have, and that she doesn't like. Because she actually sold her interest in the gold mine, which her father had left her. But then, like, now she finds this, so she's rich beyond her furthest imagining. And they have to buy the property, which I think is funny. Like, they go through this whole thing about, like, sneaking around and, like, buying the property, claiming it is for something else, and then they sink the shafts. And, of course, they're now so wealthy.
They're, like, billionaires. I mean, like, millionaires, but, like,
they are,
multi-millionaires.
Like, insane. They'll never have to think about money again, and they can do any plot that they want to do.
And that's what comes up.
And that's what comes up. So, I think before we kind of find out what he wants to do, we find out from, what's her name, Jessica, there's a crazy lady just wandering around the grounds, because you get one of those if you build a fake British house. Like, you don't even have to have one that they move in. In a
Vicky Holt novel, you're going to get at least one crazy lady.
Yeah, like one who's supposed to be, like, ancient and all, but she's probably only 40.
Yeah.
She just doesn't brush her hair.
It's like the part I would be relegated to, is being the crazy lady that's like, I tried to warn ya, I tried to warn ya. And then I just, like, back out of the darkened hallway. And
you're on a dolly, like they pull you back. Yeah.
Exactly.
So she kind of, between her and the Lynx himself, she kind of finds out really what happened, like why he's here, what's up with this white lady ship, and it's that he had been a penniless drawing master. He paints.
Yes.
He's a talented artist.
They're always like, all the biggest assholes are always like the grudging artist.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, I can't.
But at least he's a practical guy. He was a drawing master. He was selling drawing instruction as opposed to like, I'm a misunderstood painter.
No, he's still in this.
So he had been a young man and had been the drawing master to this, we think it's Arabella, but we're not sure.
There's
but
a couple Bella names, and I think it's Arabella.
But it's Minta's mom back at White Ladies back in Britain.
Yeah, remember White Ladies. White Ladies comes back, and yeah, he was the
drawing master. And so he was living in this house. He was a live-in drawing master, because when you're really rich, well, you don't know what to do with your money, and you just
got to make your daughter good at something.
Right. So you figure it's an employment plan. It's like a federal jobs plan. And so he lived there, and he fell in love with, let's say that it's
Arabella. I think her name is Arabella.
We'll call her Bella Prime, because there's a Bella secondary later. So they plan to run away together, and he has set a ladder up. I guess he gets fired before this, because otherwise why wouldn't he just walk down the hall? He set a ladder up to go get her, and she hands out her jewelry because they're going to need money, and that's when they get caught. So he gets transported to Australia for the crime of stealing jewelry, when in fact, and she didn't. Well, who knows what she could have done or couldn't have done. But he has been resentful the whole way. They clapped him in chains. He's got scars on his wrist from the manacles.
They're very upset about
And so what he had done is then, the second he got to Australia, he got,
I found the mom's name, the other one, the Maybella.
Okay, Maybella is the one in Australia who's about to come up. So, the original landowner in Australia, his daughter was Maybella. But he went to get some slaves. We could say indentured servants, but really, to buy some slaves to work on the farm. But he, unfortunately, picked the wrong one, because this guy was running the place within like a year and married his daughter, Maybella. So it was, it was Arabella back in Britain.
And the Lynx never loved Maybella. He
wanted kids.
He wanted kids, and she ended up giving, Adelaide, was the older one. And then, even though she had hard pregnancies, I guess he was just like, we're having kids. And she died with Sterling.
Because everybody's in love with him is the thing. He is such a magnetic personality that she loved him, but he didn't love her.
Right.
Yeah, but he has always wanted to come back and ruin those motherfuckers at White Ladies.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to come back and, for Arabella.
So it's a little bit of, a Count of Monte Cristo situation.
But, he wants vengeance.
Yeah.
So he built a house just like White Ladies. They even have, a super British Christmas. And so when Nora gets there,
Adelaide ass hot in summer, and having crazy and stuff, Yorkshire puddings,
and they're always asking her, "Is this exactly how it's done in Britain?" Because they've never really. Sterling's been
all
there.
All of our British listeners are going to listen to all the things that I think that you guys have for Christmas, and you be like, "This bitch," and you're like, "Yorkshire
I don't know.
puddings."
It's like a dog's butthole or something. I think that's what you eat, right?
Those little the lambs that have the little crowns on their feet. Isn't that a thing?
I think you're thinking about crown roast and confusing it with lamb, but
whatever.
Sure. They have a Yule log. They're slotting their balls off, but they're sitting there in front of the Yule log.
I do understand a Yule log. I didn't know about a Yule log. But so they have this very, very British,
So he's had this vengeance plan his whole time, and he's been rich because they had some gold, but now he's got a lot of gold, so he can finally do his plan. And Nora's like, dude, the fuck? It's been 35 goddamn years. Calm your tits. You're happy here. Yeah. You own half of Australia. You own, the biggest gold mine in the world. Why are you going after these people? And he's like, yeah, you don't fucking understand. And by the way, I'm going to run them out of business. I've already got some stuff in the works.
Well, I'm going to own them. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But,
my children will play on the lawns of White Ladies.
So, there's a fire happening.
It's a bushfire. It's fire season.
It's fire season, and Nora's like, fuck this. I'm going to go ride. I'm going to ride the opposite way.
And even though she's been told that bushfires can be really unpredictable, they can circle you around.
And she gets caught up in the fire, and Sterling shows up.
And she has been kind of in love with Sterling.
Yeah.
They've kind of had a little thing. Not a big thing, but a little thing going on. Yeah. And Sterling is, out of his mind. He's like, oh, you fucking moron.
Sterling shows up. They let the horses go.
The fire is all of a sudden coming.
Yeah. And they end up in a cave together all night.
That he had played with an Aboriginal friend of his when he was a kid.
Nothing happens in the cave, but they're in the cave. And she's like, this is it. This is it. We've now had a near-death experience together. we're definitely gonna
like
solidify
the fire
this.
flashed over them. It was a terrifying thing, but they lived.
Yeah,
and like the Lynx, like right, like when they're on their way out, like, oh my god, I thought you guys were dead.
Yeah, and he's like, he comes and sees her before he sees Sterling.
But she's like, okay, like, so now it's going to be awesome. Me and Sterling are going to get married, and I will convince all these fucking morons to just be happy being fucking rich. Because if I was rich, I'd be fucking happy being rich, right? But no.
If I was like, yeah, let's just go to Southern Australia, live in...
I'd just buy more of Southern Australia, right? I would just buy all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's it. I would not need to go back. It would be amazing. But no. The Lynx must ruin the people of White Ladies and buy it and then just grind them underneath his
Well,
booty.
then, okay, so you have him still planning his stupid White Ladies revenge plot. And then he brings Nora in and he's like, hey, girl.
And she thinks it's going to be like, he's going to tell her, so Sterling asked me for your hand in marriage.
Yeah.
But no, instead he's like, so you're going to marry me.
And she's like, what?
What?
Oh, she loves him too.
She's fascinated by him.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, the words that she uses.
Yeah.
She says that she's in love with both of them. And so, like, at first she's like, get old.
But then she's like, oh, okay, well, fuck it.
Fuck it, I'll marry you. So they get married.
And then she thinks, well, now for sure I will be able to talk about it. Because she's smart, but she's not,
And then... Yeah, I was like, your vagina's not that magic, girl. Like,
and they are, by the way, they don't, like, say they're doing it, but they make reference to them doing it. Like, she's very relaxed.
She's doing it with a 60-year-old man, and she's like,
she's very
18.
happy.
Oh, ugh. So, they're doing it. They're having a good time. She enjoys being the Lynx's wife. Jessica, the old lady that's, like, not that old, shows up occasionally and is like, this is a bad idea. Woo,
and he actually replaces Arabella's portrait in his little secret portrait room with her portrait.
Yeah, he draws a creepy portrait of her. He's still making these plans, and she's like, this is a terrible, dumb fucking idea. And he's like, I don't care what you have to say, I'm doing it.
But she keeps thinking that she's making some progress.
And here's the thing, like, none of these people, like, even though they have fucking all the money in the world, none of them have studied fucking English property law, which comes into play later.
Like, they've never read a Jane Austen book.
Jesus
it's nuts.
Christ.
Yes.
So they're riding around, and basically a tree branch.
They have foreshadowed this. A widowmaker on one of the big elms.
Yeah. Falls and hits the Lynx, and the Lynx dies.
Yeah, like, bam, right through the heart.
Yeah. And so, I think this is where you had stopped reading
Well, that's the funny thing. Okay, so I thought that I had read this book several times when I was a kid. Because I know that I had read it several times, because I was so into this. And I was like, what did I see in this guy? Like, reading this, like...
so old.
Like... No, like, why did I pick a guy's name? Like, oh, no, I didn't want to do him. I wanted to be him. I wanted to be, like, the mega stud who tells everyone what to do and just has to put a picture of myself up on the wall to keep bitches in line. But then now I realize that, so what happens immediately after he dies is that suddenly there's, like, a perspective change, and then Mint is telling the fucking story.
We're on to my girl, Mint.
Yeah, and they're all back in Britain. And, like, that. So, no, what I actually did, I read the book several times, but always stopped when the Lynx died.
So, we get to Mint.
That's nuts, right?
Yes. So, alright, so after the Lynx dies, we have this immediate perspectives change, and we're with Minta. And it basically kind of picks up right after Minta had met Sterling and Nora for the first time. And their meeting had made such an impression on her that she decided to start a journal because she never wanted to forget meeting them.
Please remember that this is like 2 seconds after, in a ride in the bush, Nora and the Lynx, this incredibly, like, intense relationship, bam, tree branch. Next, English country house.
You know, I liked Minta's story better.
As an adult, I like Minta better.
Okay, so... Alright, so
you can see this is like a cock block.
Okay, so Minta, the story starts off with Minta, again, creating this journal right after she meets Sterling and Nora because she thought they were so captivating and interesting. So in Minta's household, at White Ladies, the original, the OG White Ladies, there's Minta, who is the daughter. Her mother, Arabella, who is the woman that... like, spurned, like, the whole Lynx situation is centered around.
Yeah, she didn't spurn him, she just didn't, like, throw herself on a sword.
She didn't throw herself out of a fucking window for a man. There is Arabella's handmaid, Lizzie.
Lucy.
No, Lizzie, who is her personal maid.
Sorry, Arabella's, yes.
Yeah, okay. So Minta went to school with a girl named Lucy who became the family, like, or the household companion. And then there's Minta's father. So those are the people at White Ladies. There's also a guy named Franklin who's kind of like the country squire. He's the practical one.
He's the neighbor. He's the neighboring.
He's, no fun, but he's the one who's going to pick you up when you're drunk and you call somebody. Like,
and they always kind of assumed that he and Minta would eventually get married because they would combine the two estates and they're neighboring.
Okay, so in Minta's household at White Ladies, the family is not doing great. Like, and it gets more and more dire.
And we know why. It's because the Lynx has been, like, fucking with them.
Arabella
From an entire, like, ocean away. Several oceans. It's amazing.
So Arabella, the mom, is basically, like, she's unhappy, and so she has all these ailments that are kind of in her head, and she's one of those, like, hypochondriac people.
She uses the wheelchair even though she can totally walk.
Yeah. Lucy is kind of the one that everybody's like, oh, she's so dependable, she's so great, we love Lucy. All right, so...
Oh, we went with the doctor.
Yeah, there's a doctor that comes in to play. He's a country doctor. He's young. He's obviously got the hots for Lucy. He's got a thing for her. He asks her to marry him. Minta's excited. She's like, oh, you should marry him, and then you can live near here. But you're going to... Like, Minta's too good for this world. She's one of those. Like, she's so pure and is so excited and wants, like, Lucy to have everything that she can have, blah, blah, blah. And Lucy's like, nah, I'm good. All right, so the doctor is saying that the mom's, like, her ailments are psychosomatic, and that what the family needs to do is not coddle her so much.
To be fair, like, he actually, it's kind of like, modern, what he says is that, like, look, no, she is sick. Like, her it's
brain
real.
Is sick.
It's absolutely 1,000% real. It's just that it is not, like, a physical injury, and therefore he has a plan about how to help her legitimate illness. He's not saying that she's not sick.
No,
he's saying it's mental.
One night, like, they're supposed to be kind of terse with her about her illness. She goes upstairs and goes to bed in a huff. She gets in an argument with Lizzie, and then she's passed away the next morning. And the doctor says it's a heart failure. And then he's, like, cagey for a while.
Yeah.
And we think it's because Lucy has just, like, shut him down flat.
And also because that he's got, like, a malpractice thing going on, because he had said it was nothing physical, and then she up and fucking dies. Yeah.
So, and then, so Lucy's, indispensable to the family. She's doing all this stuff. And about 6 months after the mom passes away, Lucy and the father get engaged.
Yeah. Dun-dun-dun.
Dun-dun-dun. But, of course, Minta's like, oh, that's great. Yay, you're in the family. Like, Minta really isn't that fussed with it. She's really not upset.
No. Because she's never really thought about this shit the way that you need to think about this shit if you're in this kind of book.
Yeah, so a few months after Lucy and the father get married, Lucy's pregnant. And Lucy, of course, wants a boy. And she doesn't get a boy, she has Drusilla.
And Minta completely does not understand why. Like, Minta is a little bit fucking dense about this, okay?
But I think Minta's also just a rich girl, and she's like, oh, everybody's rich, and everybody's happy, and everybody's...
Yeah, and we just stay rich. You're rich, you stay rich. Yeah. Even though she doesn't realize that she's not actually rich. Because, like, Franklin tries to explain to her. Yeah. Franklin's like, dude, I was looking at some of this stuff,
You're not rich.
This is a major problem. A, your house is falling down.
Yeah.
That's a problem. B, because, you can buy one of these houses for, like, 25 cents if you can fix them up, which requires billions. But and then B, also, like, holy shit, you need to let people go.
So...
And they do, which is kind of,
Okay, so... Where was I?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it doesn't matter with the housekeeper and all that, but that's why they
let them go. So Lucy has Drusilla. Minta's happy for everybody. Everything is going whatever. She's, like, totally, like, oh, me and Franklin are going to get married when I get a little, like, when Franklin thinks I'm ready. Like, things are looking up for Minta. She's super happy. Then, all of a sudden, Sterling and Nora show back up in England. They rent the house, like, next door to White Ladies.
The thing is that Nora thought that with the Lynx dead, of course we no longer have to ruin the people at White Ladies. Yeah. Well, guess what? My father would have wanted it that way. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go along because somebody's got to try to talk you the fuck out of this.
Yeah, so Sterling's like, no, we doing it. So they rent the house, the Mercer house, which is a nice-ass house. And Nora's
it's like a guest house. It's like a,
No,
like
it's big.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big fucking house. And Nora's like, This house is great. Why do we have, like, let's just stay here.
It's a big house, but it's not like a White Lady house.
Nora's, like, super excited, like, to have friends. She's made friends with, like, she becomes friends with Minta and everybody over there. She's making friends with other people in the town. Like, she's like, everything's cool. Can't we just be, like, happy?
Daddy wanted it this way.
So Sterling starts hanging around, and he's, like, assessing the house. Like, he just goes to that house and looks at it.
He's like, oh, those are lovely architectural details, and exactly how
porn.
expensive
like,
are they?
Like,
yeah.
hey, walk me around this house. Let's look at this house. And Minta's like, okay, yeah, whatever. So, all right. So that happens. They're hanging around. Part of the, like, timber acreage that belongs to white ladies has to be sold. And Franklin was going to buy it because obviously Franklin is going to eventually marry Minta and, like, just give it back. But then Sterling comes out of nowhere and, like, buys it for, like, 3 times the price.
And they keep doing this, like, these gross new money things. Because, of course, Sterling has no fucking concept. So they throw this New Year's party. And it is the tackiest fucking...
It's like people with, like, blue livery on.
Yeah, this Jersey Shore fucking New Year's party.
Yeah, it was like... It's very, like...
Everybody goes, of course. But they go and then they're like, oh my god, I can't believe this
is the trashiest party I've ever seen. So... Okay, so Sterling goes and approaches Minta's father about buying the fucking house.
Yeah.
And that's when he finally learns about fucking British property law.
Yeah, that it's entailed.
And that learns about entailment.
It's been entailed for ages.
And the guy's like, I'd like to sell it. And then Sterling's like, what do I do? And so Sterling's next plan of action. Also, at this time, Sterling has told Nora that he loves her. They've made out a little bit.
Now, remember, this is now her stepson.
Yeah. But she's like, woo, we gonna get...
There's not really a clear path to marrying a stepmother.
I mean, I guess if you're in England, like...
You gotta have to be real rich for that, right?
But they are real rich. But, okay, so she's like, it's gonna happen. Things are happening. And then the next day... Sterling has asked Minta to marry him. And Minta is, of course, over the fucking moon. She's so excited. Oh, she loves Sterling. Lucy's like, you sure you want to do this, girl? Like,
yeah. And so Minta is so fucking naive that she does not connect anything about this. So, well, maybe we should say, if you don't know much about Jane Austen, or have not read many things where people die in English country houses, entailed...
Daughters never get anything.
Yes. Normally, you can inherit, but if your estate is entailed, you can't sell it, and it has to go to a man. It does not matter if you have ever met this man.
Yeah, so,
that's how so many of these books start off, is your distant cousin is now owning the house, your only home.
So Minta, after she gets married to Sterling, starts to suspect that somebody's trying to kill her. Because as soon as, like, they get married, we know they're banging. But, like, Sterling starts, like, making massive, like renovations on the house.
Desperately needed renovations.
Like, he is doing some shit. But, like, so... Minta will be, like, lurking around and, like, a beam will almost fall
Yeah.
on her.
It's one of those things where, like, she's just, like, blithely walking along and a piano falls out of the sky. It's like that.
And she's like, is this an accident? I don't know. So, this keeps happening.
And it's the same kind of weird, like, paranoia that the girl felt in Pride of the Peacock.
Yeah.
Only there it was not... I mean, she thought her dead mother was playing the piano. So, no, like, she was paranoid. Minta is actually being
okay, so there
stalked.
is, like, a ghost element to it because Nora's convinced that, like, the ghost of the Lynx is back. So there is this kind of like, oh, Lynx, are you here? Oh, who is this?
And they do see like where his old like drawing quarters and stuff, and they're like drawings that he had done, which has got to be very strange to you. You go across the world and you see your dead husband's drawings are there like tacked up on the walls. Yeah, that's weird, right? I mean, that's a strange experience.
So, all right. So, during the course of this time, Nora found 2 kittens. She gave one to Minta. And both of them simultaneously, like, were pregnant and are going to have kittens. Like, after they became cats. So, Okay. So, anyway. So, Nora's cat's name's Donna. And Minta's cat's named Bella. Coming back to this whole...
Yeah, everybody's name's Bella. Yeah.
Bella, but also Belladonna.
Oh, I didn't know.
So... Minta's in bed one night. She's pregnant at this time. And she knocks over a saucer of milk that somebody had with Lizzie.
And so Lizzie's been weird and creepy this whole time. Let's put this out there.
So she knocks over a thing of milk, and her cat Bella and one of Bella's kittens drink from the milk. And the next day, Minta wakes up, and she sees that the cats are dead.
And then Minta has some goddamn sense.
She's like, I'm getting out of this fucking house, bye. And, like, she, like, zips it over.
Unlike all those bitches who were like, oh, let me go, like, skulking around. Yeah. Like, no. She's like, I am escaping this fucking place.
So she goes to Nora's, and Minta thinks that it's Sterling doing this. Like, and I mean, obviously, yeah, because before or right after after she found out she was pregnant, she hears a conversation.
She's skulking around on the minstrel balcony. Yeah.
And she hears a conversation between Nora and Sterling where they both admit to being in love with each other. And Nora's like, you just married her for the house and you want to have children on the lawn of white ladies and that's all you care about. So Minta knows that she's like the third wheel in this situation.
And so, I mean, she can count and it's best to have two, right?
Okay, so she goes and, I mean, she escapes to Nora's, even though, because she knows Nora is her friend. And her and Nora talk about it. And she's like, okay, we got you out of here. You're going to stay here. Everything's going to be cool.
It's good because she believes her. And I mean, the whole thing is very positive, actually.
Like, Okay, so all of a sudden the doctor, remember the country doctor? Hello, he's back. And he comes back with some information. And he's like,
I can't keep it up anymore.
Well, he said that the cats, because he had been there the morning the cats died. He took the cat.
Yeah, it's not a necropsy.
Yeah, he did a necropsy on the cats and figured out that the cats died from the same way that Minta's mother died.
And he says, okay, guess what? The reason I've been kind of weird about that is I'm pretty sure that Lucy stole all my drugs and killed your mama, but I didn't want to say anything about it.
So you find out that, Lucy had killed Arabella to marry the father, because Lucy was obsessed with white ladies, too.
Yeah.
All right, so Lucy,
or she was obsessed with not being fucking poor anymore.
No, she was obsessed with white ladies.
Well, she was,
because
but
we're going to tie this all back in a second. Yeah. We're going to tie some shit in. All right, so she had been obsessed with white ladies because Minta even said, I think you care about this house more than you care about the family, like jokingly. All right, so Lucy kills Arabella. Then she was fine when everything, like when Lucy or when Minta wasn't married and she had Drusilla, but she also, the doctor says, was extremely upset when Drusilla was a son. Or not a son, when a daughter, because
you gotta have a boy.
Yeah. So when she married Sterling and then was pregnant, then it became Lucy being like, I gotta get you out of the picture.
Before you have what might be a son.
Yeah, what might be a son, and you take over the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so they found all this stuff out. Minta gives birth. I think she gives birth to, I can't remember if she gives birth to a boy.
It doesn't matter at this point, yeah, because we found out about Lucy.
So Minta is like going to die, just
Lucy actually doesn't. She throws herself over this
Lucy kills herself. Yeah.
By the way, if you want to have that worked out.
Okay, so Minta's gonna kill herself, so she's not the third wheel anymore. Nora's like, "Hey, girl, you gonna get better because I'm gonna go to Australia. I'm taking Franklin with me, even though I don't want to be with Franklin. But I figure, like, Nora's very pragmatic. She's like, because Minta's like, but Sterling loves you. He loves you so much. She's like, he's gonna forget about my ass, and you're gonna give him a son or a daughter, and he's gonna be fine.
Yeah." And he'll have children playing on the goddamn lawns.
It ends with Nora.
I'm gonna take my millions of dollars and go home.
It ends with Nora on a boat back to Australia with Franklin, the country squire, and Minta being with Sterling. And like the thing that's crazy about this book, I mean, it doesn't have a happy ending, but like it shows two forms of, like, it talks about obsession in different forms. So you have gold obsession. You have this, like, this obsession for
it comes up, I thought about that as you were saying that. There's a scene where they're looking at all the cool, like, they have this house tour, and you're on the house tour, too. And there's a big, like, fucking coat of arms for white ladies, and it's got all the different names of the families who've married in. In other words, this house doesn't represent wealth. You get wealth, and then you get this house. The house means you fucking made it, okay?
Well, the house, I think, was like more than, like, I think what, to me, got me about it was that, okay, you have two types of obsession. You have material wealth obsession, and then you have respectability obsession. And, like, white ladies was this, because it belonged to, like, English nobility, it was, like, this thing of, like, no matter, and, like, this is what ends up happening to Sterling is, I mean, Sterling has to marry into it, but, like, no matter how much money you fucking get, you don't have the cultural buy-in for this,
and you can't
because
buy
that cultural buy-in. You don't have the cultural currency to play on this.
You might have all the money, but you will not have the name. But the funny thing is that there have been lots and lots of names associated with this house.
And that's what
once you buy, you got to buy the woman, or you got to somehow get yourself in. But the thing is, what he does not realize is that he's still going to throw that New Year's party. He thinks, because his dad told him, because his dad thought the same way, that, see, in Australia you can do that.
Yeah.
But in America, no, in America you can do that too. But in Britain, you can buy that house, but you're still going to throw that tacky-ass fucking party, and they would still treat you exactly the same way.
Like you're still like a garbage.
Like he doesn't know. Because we live in the South, and we can certainly tell you, you can have all the fucking money in the world. You will not be debuting in the St. Cecilia
because
Society.
You don't have the cultural currency. You don't have no matter how much money you have, if you don't have the right name, if you don't have the right sponsor, if you don't have the right backer,
it does not matter. Yeah, I mean, I know people, when I was in high school, I went to the high school where all the debutantes, like the old name, I was not one of them, but and I knew people who did not have, they were cash poor, had big houses, but no money, and they would go like $40,000 into debt to debut their daughters.
I mean, it's
what the fuck is wrong with you?
It's crazy. So it's,
people don't get divorced until after their daughter's debut because you cannot go to the St. Cecilia ball if you're divorced. That is absolutely true. You can look it up.
I'm lost and proud. Home alone, the merry window won't make a sound. Candlelight and baby's breath stored in his mouth. The world outside has died. There's one place left to hide. It's warm and wet inside. Let my tongue be your guide. Tied in nylon, not in silk. Love in the bird. Flesh is raw, sacred treasure takes what you get. Play the part, listen to teacher, get what you read. The world one place left to hide. It's warm and wet inside. Let my tongue be your guide. The world outside has died. The world outside has died. The world outside has died. The world outside has died.
All right, y'all. It's question time.
Question time.
Okay, question number 1. Bechdel to bitch ratio.
There were lots of women's friendships in this.
They were really
Some of them were with
good.
crazy ladies because there's a crazy lady in every single fucking country.
But
house.
honestly, like, I enjoyed really that Minta and Nora were never really at cross odds with each other, even though, like, they're sharing the same dude.
And even like, Minto was like, I think he's trying to kill me, and never thought, oh, well, Nora might be in on it. Like, no,
Yeah,
she's like, no,
they were
Nora
good
will
friends.
protect me.
Yeah.
Like that, and also Nora and Adelaide had a good relationship.
Yeah.
They didn't have much in common, but they just like they liked and
They
respected
got
each
along,
other.
yeah, they got along well. So, like, I feel like there were a lot of good female friendships in this, or not so good, but, like, a lot of female representation.
Yeah.
Like,
It was women having conversations about stuff, often about a man.
yeah,
but
exactly. Like,
they're having like legit relationships. Like you have a relationship maybe with that crazy lady who just like roosts in your fucking house.
me, I just show up in the hallways. I'm 40. I'm here to be the crone.
We never see your room. Like you don't have quarters.
No, I don't have a room.
You
just
hang upside down.
I'm just an old crone.
Oh, look, like somebody is right now. Somebody
Yeah,
is,
my husband is lurking in.
yeah, he's gonna
He
do
won't say hello, though. He'll just look, and he's shaking his head. He won't be a part of the podcast.
No.
Bye.
It was really a ghost, only
Yeah.
the ghost who
That
wanted
was
its
a good
laptop.
Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of female friendships. A lot of women on women interaction, not that way, but you know, like a lot of like.
Well,
female
I don't know. I wonder if
conversations.
Nora is like really going back to Adelaide for like a Boston
Oh my God,
marriage.
it'd
I
be
think that would be
amazing.
good for her.
I wanted Minta and Nora to be like, "Fuck all y'all, we're going to Australia and be rich bitches."
Yeah.
Okay. This one's complicated because you have like multiple dudes. So bastard to bay ratio. I guess
Well,
we just
it's
need to
also
talk about
complicated
Lynx.
because I had okay, what the fuck, young Sarah? I think that maybe my thing for him was not a thing for him, but I wanted to be him thing because it doesn't. I mean, like, what the fuck? He told somebody that she's gonna marry him, and both she and the dude she really wanted to marry, like, okay, I guess that's what we're gonna be doing.
You know what I felt like he was like? Is that I felt like he was mirrored a little bit on the pop culture version of Ernest Hemingway. Like, just very, like...
He's very masculine.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not talking about
really
the
strong
actual...
forearms.
I'm not talking about the actual Ernest Hemingway, who is, like, an insane person. I mean, I love him, but he was an insane person. But
Or like a Teddy Roosevelt, you know,
Yeah.
like a...
I'll tell you, I get nervous when a dude talks about how much he loves Ernest Hemingway and how much he emulates him. I'm like, I can love him as a woman because, like, God, but I was crazy as a dude, and like, you don't need that, like, the whole toxic like, he's very toxic masculinity.
But I can understand. I mean, like Vicky writes them so well because, like, not all the books that we read are well written.
Yeah,
yeah. So she writes that so you can see the magnetism.
He never did it for like. And again, I'm reading this as an adult woman.
Yeah,
like,
and the thing is, I cannot do any kind of authentic examination of this because a little part of me is still 11, and then the rest of me is like 11-year-old. What the fuck, girl?
Like did nothing.
This is not healthy, baby.
For me. Like. Because all I imagine
He was a
just,
blonde man, which I certainly did not
It's
remember.
like this, like,
and he has a little Van Dyke beard.
I was like, it's just like John Voight bossing people around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, he is like John Voight.
Like-
Ew, nasty.
And I don't mind a John Voight. I don't.
do.
You don't like a blonde man, and you know what? He's that blonde. Here's the blonde that he is. He's that blonde, like he's got that white blonde hair, and then he's got that ruddy red face. Like, so it's kind of like
He's
that.
gonna die of skin cancer if he didn't die of
He's
the,
kind of got like
the
that,
Widowmaker.
that Pat Conroy blondness.
I knew you were gonna say. How did I know you were gonna say a Pat Conroy?
A Pat Conroy blondness.
Are we like?
Buddy.
Are we like there now?
We
Are we like? Because I was like,
there.
oh, don't say Pat Conroy. Don't say Pat Conroy.
I just mean the coloring, that red.
Well, I was also thinking about Conrack.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got that. Well, because we talked about John Boyd, but he's got that red skin, blonde hair combo.
People who don't need to be in Australia.
Yeah,
That.
no, I did not. Yeah.
But
I could see, maybe I can see where like 11-year-old me would have been like, oh, he's taking.
It's like it's a power fantasy because
Yeah.
this is a guy who can come in as literally a slave and be owning the place a year later.
It's very true.
He's brilliant. And he's just, like, you know, incredibly, not just magnetic, but he can back it the shit up.
Yeah.
And if you, like, fuck with him, he will just blow your fucking head off. And he will then drag your body out as an example for les ultra. Yeah, I'm really...
I want to know, like,
I've got
how
questions
did you
for-
get this book?
Library.
You just got it from the library?
Yeah, like, I got all the books.
Did you like the name of it? Like, but I mean, like, what attracted you to this book per se?
I mean, I really don't know. And the
Because
funny
again,
thing is...
I feel like
can
we
you
have to-
imagine the...
hold on.
Aust-
We have to examine it a little bit because, again, you tried to change your name to this character.
I did. And can you imagine the people, like the actual native Australian people, who were like, what the fuck is a lynx?
Yeah, like...
Maybe it's the word lynx?
You think, like, it was a cool cat kind of, like...
I mean, I didn't know what it was until I looked it up, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, like, we don't have those here. It's like a snowy place kind of...
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if, like, surely
We
that was
have them,
not
but
the only
they're called
Victoria
catamounts.
Holt. Catamount. See, she's calling the catamount. No, that's a different animal. A lynx has, like, really big paws and, like, tufty ears.
That's what a catamount has.
No, catamount's a panther.
No, catamount's a bobcat.
Well, that's also a different bird.
Bobcat and lynx are closer than
Yeah, that's
panther.
true. But,
again, my dad went to Western Carolina, so I know a lot about the catamounts.
That's such a dirty name, though.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the fuck. I wonder if, you know, I would not be surprised if my mom, like, when she saw all this, like, terrible books I was reading, was like, how about Victoria Holt?
Let's try to dial it back.
Yeah, because Victoria Holt is, like, legit. And actually, like, one of my coworkers, like, I told her we were doing this. She's like, oh my god, I love Victoria Holt. And then she paused a moment. Hey, Janet. And then she said, is she... Do I want to, like, no, she's fine. You can go back and read her again. Like, it might be weird and complicated, but I'm not embarrassed to have read it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, some of the things that we've read make her look like fucking Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. And I know that I read others of her books, but I don't remember any of them the way I remember this one. And I only read half of it, but several times. Now, I did do that sometimes. Like, I remember I read the fourth Song of the Lioness book. Tamora Pierce was, like, very important to me when I was a kid. And the fourth book, shit, I just forgot the name of it. But, okay, so halfway through, this character who I really liked dies. And I wouldn't read to that point. Like, I would get, like, before any of that happened, and there was a distinct break in, like, the first part of the book and the second part of the book, I would stop there, and that's the only part I would read, because I didn't want him to die. But this, I read through him dying. Yeah, weird.
Yeah,
weird. Because it was not, because the thing is, and then it goes to a completely different viewpoint character, and it's the same thing as, like, you read a book, and it's kind of in a series, but the second book deals with different people, and I hate that, because I got attached to these first people.
Right, yeah.
I don't know, dude, it's fucked up, though. I'm not sure what the hell was going on with 11-year-old Sarah, but I don't approve of it.
So it's not like one that you go back and, like, read, and you're like, oh, yes. Yeah, you know, like...
It was like a sociological experiment. I was
interesting.
Like, huh. Fascinating, Sarah.
Yeah, like,
the fuck is your fucking problem, Sarah?
Hey, man. That's cool, though. Okay. All right. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages? No, absolutely not. I would have thrown this in the trash because there's absolutely nothing in it for me.
Well, you could tell that they were having sex. Like, you know.
But I was like, oh, they're in the cave. They're going to get to business, but they never got to business.
Well, Vicky doesn't get to business. But,
I know she doesn't, but I'm just saying.
The funny thing is, I remember there being sex in this, and I think it's more that...
the implication.
The implication. Because once they get married, they obviously do have sex because she's very happy and relaxed.
He tries to, like, take her dress off at one point, and she's like, nope. Because she was mad at him. I remember that. Like, and she, like, locked herself in another room, and he's like, did you enjoy your temper tantrum? You know?
Like, she slept on the couch, yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, like, that, there was other than that, like, other than pregnancies, there was nothing else. Okay, the CW level of authenticity.
I have no idea.
I know. Again, all of my Australian experience comes from my brother Nathan and his husband moving to Australia in a few months, and me watching Kath and Kim. So I should have to when we do another Vicky Holt book, we'll have to dial a friend and be like, "Yo, Nate, tell us about Australia." Oh, I can tell you my fun fact. I have a fun Australian fact.
Oh, do you?
I have a fun Australian fact by way of another podcast, Cooking with Grief, that does random facts. So, currently in Australia, people go and hunt, big game hunt. There are more camels.
Yes.
Yeah, per capita. And
because one dude brought a bunch of camels to Australia.
Yeah.
Did you read about that guy?
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. So, people from, Saudi Arabia and stuff, import camels from Australia. There's, millions of camels.
There's a bunch of camels. They also go and shoot a bunch of cats in the head.
Yeah.
Because cats are... Sorry, I mean, evidently cats are a problem. I didn't do it personally.
Cats and rabbits and camels.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's my Australian fact.
Yeah, but I read so there was a guy who thought he was gonna change Australia with camels, and I guess he did in a way. Mm. Right? I mean,
but it's a massive issue. They have a camel problem.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine having a... The weird thing is, I realized only a couple years ago that I'd never seen a live camel, and the reason I realized that is because we let Google Maps try to take us along. My dad was in the car with him and my mom, and there was a wreck on 77 coming down through North Carolina. So we take the goddamn surface streets to get around it, and we were somewhere near Lake Wiley, and I don't know where the fuck we are, and we're getting farther and farther away.
Oh, I know where you are. You're in Pineville, and you're over at the Narrowway religious theater, and they have a camel and a pen there. That's exactly
wherever we were.
You're near Carowinds.
We passed. No, we were farther north than Carowinds. I don't know.
You were at the Narrowway church.
No, we were way farther north. We were we're before Lake Wiley. Anyway, the point is, I look out the window of the car and I say, "Oh my God, there's a camel there," but nobody else saw it. So I don't think anybody in the car believed.
Cornelius too. There's a weird petting zoo in Cornelius.
No, it was just farmland.
No, there is. It's a farmland thing where they have giraffes and shit, and you can just take your kid and get in the car, or you can take a wagon ride. Because me and my friend almost got attacked by an ostrich. We almost got attacked by an ostrich. I have pictures. I'll put them up on Twitter.
Y'all can't see my face. This is the most country ghetto thing I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
It's called the something safari, and so
I bet it is. It's something safari.
It was me and my friend and her son and our other friend, and we get in this hayride.
Jesus Christ.
And they give you a bucket of animal feed, and all of a sudden, the ostriches are just hanging out.
What's it, all animals? Are there, some meats in there?
No. Okay, so they have, ostriches.
Only for herbivores?
And they have, water buffalo and regular buffalo and all kinds of stuff. So we're just let me tell a story.
Regular buffalo.
So we're in the wagon ride. And the ostriches hang out at the front because they know that's where all the food is.
An ostrich can fucking kill you, right?
Well, yes, I know, because they almost did. So, my friend's son, this ostrich all of a sudden is just "Mah!" right there. I'm my friend's son is screaming and into his mom. My other friend's ready to punch the ostrich because it was so aggressive. I will post the ostrich picture.
But, ostriches get in fights with lions and win.
I'm just telling you what I did.
What country fucking shit is this?
I don't know. It was fun. It was a good time.
Well, anyway.
Once we got past the ostrich, it was fun.
That's how I realized.
We got to feed, the bison, and they were licking on your hand and stuff.
That's how I realized I'd never seen a camel before. But which is weird because, that's one of the mammals that but yeah. I guess I just never... We don't have one at our zoo. We have a great zoo, but we ain't got no camels.
I'm sorry to have stolen your
Oh,
camel.
no, it's fine. No, please tell me more about... Well, what happened? So it was like a tractor pulling your hayride?
You're in a big, tall truck, kind of flatbed thing, and you're on a hayride.
People from, New York listen to this, right?
I don't care. So... We got to feed giraffes. There were giraffes. There was a bunch of stuff.
When do you get to shoot them? Because isn't that what we do here?
And then we went to you got to see camels, and then they had tiny donkeys, and I freaked out. I was just this is, I'm sorry because I'm about to get loud, but this is the exact thing I did when I saw the tiny donkeys. I went, tiny donkeys! That, the entire time, because I love a tiny... if there's an animal and it's tiny,
Oh, yeah.
shut the fuck up.
I know.
Like, they had tiny goats, and they had tiny donkeys, and tiny horses, and it was too much.
We went, when we were for my Aunt Laverne and my Uncle John. Unfortunately, both of them are gone now. Uncle John was kind of short on time, and so they had an anniversary party that we all kind of knew was not just
Like
an
it was like
anniversary party.
it was like a
party.
bar party.
So we went to LJ, Georgia, and we took my son, who at the time was 2, I guess. And so we're up in the mountains, beautiful, and we're looking for things to do with this child, and we see that there's this farm. That you know, you pay to get in, but there's animals, and it's all like an animal. It's like a rescue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a rescue thing, but it's also like a pet and like a pet and rescue, alright? So we go, and Edgar's having none of this shit, alright? He's like, I'm like, look at the bunnies. He's like, I don't know about the bunnies. Like, he's not talking at the time much, but like, you know, there's a baby goat. Like, no, not in the baby. So we're having a good time, and Edgar's like having none of it. But we go outside, and they warn us that the donkey is an asshole. The donkey grabs hold of my husband's coat and will not let it go. And so we have this 2-year-old who's like, donkey? I'm like, no. While the donkey is attached.
It's always the way.
It's extremely fraught.
Oh,
yeah. But you should go to, I don't remember the name of the place, because, like, yeah, they were super nice, like this, like, nice old, like couple, and they rescue these animals, but it was also deeply weird, but, you know, and you can feed, like, with a bottle, a lamb, and it's amazing, except look out for the fucking donkey, because the donkey's an asshole.
Always.
But he was a good
donkeys
miniature
and
donkey.
ostriches.
You should have known that about the ostriches.
Well, I mean, I did, but at the same time, I thought, like, okay, I'm, like, again, I'll put the picture up of the crazy ostrich. It's hilarious, because my friend Vanessa, like, was ready to, like, punch the ostrich. It was a really fun day. Okay. Did you want to slap the heroine?
No, she was great. I love her.
I liked them, but yeah, they were.
I mean, like, okay, it was kind of crazy that she thought. Well, I thought it was funny. She thought that she could change them. She's like, and explain that you don't need to go after gold.
She's going to try to use reason.
But she's like, oh, gold. This is a lot of fucking gold.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you don't have to go after revenge. Like, baby doll, since before you've been alive for a long shot.
Old cantankerous men are going to do what old cantankerous men do.
And he's twice twice as long as she's been alive.
I know.
He has wanted to ruin the people at White Ladies.
Ugh. All right, how racist is it?
The funny thing is, okay, it has the exact same line in it that her other book had, which was written later, about how the Aboriginal staff like to go walkabout. Yeah. That's the only thing that's racist in it. Like except the fact that it's a very colonial.
But I feel like it's like the only thing that she knows what to say about, like, you know, anybody of color.
And she does that in that bit that Sterling did play with an Aboriginal boy, and they had this cave. In other words, it is the only thing racist about it is significant in that it's a book about colonialism, essentially, although they don't say that, and it's a book where the people whose land it is really are absent.
Yeah. Okay. How bad are you judging your mama for reading this?
This book is fucked up, dude, and I don't know how to assess it.
I do feel like, again, like, it's kind of like it took a lot of... I feel like this was a little bit formulaic in that she took some of her... I don't know, like... I felt like it was like, okay, she liked the Count of Monte Cristo. I was like, I'm going to put a blonde in there, and they're going to go to Australia, and it's not going to be quite as good. Is what I feel like she kind of did, because you have this total vengeance plot.
The structure is so weird.
It's very strange, and like, okay, if you're gonna go total vengeance, then go fucking total vengeance. Don't go, like, when vengeance is concerned, never go half vengeance.
No.
Like,
no.
go
this is 110%.
Whole hog or nothing. And so, like, I feel like what almost did a disservice was this weird half vengeance plot. Like, I think the book could have been better served if, like, Nora... If the book had just been, like, Minta figuring this shit out, like, if Minta and Nora had been combined as characters. But I feel like she was like, well, shit, I gotta get somebody to Australia somehow.
I would almost say one way or the other. Like, let Nora be, like, the whole way powerless to stop it. Or let Minta be like, why are we out of money? You know?
Yeah.
And, but like, the halfway, and the fact that you introduce a character as a viewpoint character halfway through.
And, like, you have this whole character that's I mean, I understand why it's the Shadow of the Lynx, because it's, like, his vengeance. But it's stupid to me, and you never really understand the point.
And who is Sterling as a character? Like, who is he at all?
You're just like, why is he just puppeteering, doing what his dad said? Like, most dudes would be like, oh, you know what?
Thank God. What a relief.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I want. Like, I felt like that was
so,
a little bit...
And honestly, we never got a good enough read on Sterling as a character to figure out if he would do that or not. Like, did he do it just for his dad? Did he do it because he's been raised in this, like, poisonous We don't know. And Sterling is really underdrawn, and I think Vicky kind of...
I feel like if they had made it more about, like... Sterling wanted to do it as, like, trying to gain a foothold into, like, nobility and respectability, I could have understood it.
And maybe,
but again, you don't understand Sterling, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, he's never a well-drawn enough character. I mean, I would have liked to have seen, if I would have written this, like whatever. Yeah. But, maybe he was going to give it up, but then if I would have written it, but then he had the New Year's party, and he realized he's never going to be them.
Yeah.
And the only way to be them...
But see, he didn't realize... Like, here's the thing is...
He had no idea that party was a failure.
He was so obtuse about that party. Nora knew, and, like, everybody in town knew, but he thought it was great. He thought it was amazing. Like,
so, it was a strange choice there. Because they included the party, so obviously they understood, like she was trying to show you something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was odd, and it was an earlier book for her.
Yeah.
And it was a strange book. But it was, of course, I can't really, like I said, I can't look at it really with any kind of open eyes because I'm looking at it simultaneously through my 11-year-old eyes. What the shit, y'all?
Yeah. It was, again, I feel like it could have been, with some editing or some, like, reconvening, an amazing book. It was fine. I don't know.
Because, like, some parts of it were great.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some really, like, some strong stuff in there. Some, like, really heartfelt stuff in there. You know? But, what a weird book. And it's not that it was unfocused. It was trying to do something that it was, I don't know, scrabbling around.
It was not my favorite, but, it was interesting.
I mean, it was better written than a lot of books, but I feel like she can do better, though. Yeah. It was not her finest. I mean, Pride of the Peacock was not a great book, but it was more focused.
You had, like, I don't know. All right, last question. What kind of booze is this book?
I don't know. I kind of feel like you have to be, like, a hard alcoholic, and it's whatever booze is your booze, because, like, it's about obsession, right? It's about a thing you can't quit.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that, like, it could be, that. I mean, that's a good example of it, like...
It's the heroin kind of booze.
A good brandy. They're always drinking brandy.
I suspect that these are the kind of people who, like, they think that they should like a good brandy. Really, they like some fucking Pruno.
Oh, God.
Right. Yeah. They look like, they like some, like, whatever they're distilling over there at the edge of camp. But no. Our children shall play on the lawns of white ladies.
Ugh.
So we can't possibly do that.
No.
These are people who are all fake, and they don't understand why they're not happy.
Terrible. I mean, it was fine. No, it was interesting. Like, I liked the points of view change. I liked that it was so female-centered. It was not my favorite book, just because I was like,
I don't think it's a romance. I think it's just a straight Gothic novel.
No, it was, yeah. So, that is a wrap for Shadow of the Lynx.
Yeah, and I'm just more confused than I was when I started.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
So, well, we did it. What do we have coming up?
Well, we got are we reading the thing that's on the...
Well, we have... we're coming up... We'll be coming up on June. And June
Who knows when's what?
June is Courtney's birthday month.
And I really hate to state a month after what happened with March Madness, but what the fuck? Let's go!
Okay, so... In the month of June... I turned the big 4-0. Shut up. I'm old. I know it. I'm a crone.
We'll do this again in next February.
I'm a crone.
I'm 40.
I come out of the shadows to forewarn people with my unbrushed hair. So we're going to do a 4 for 40 of Courtney picks.
Yeah.
And so you guys get ready for that. And that'll be on our Twitter and everything else. So it's going to be fucking nonsense is what it's going to be.
We'll see. Because obviously when I pick a book, maybe not. So
it's going to be hot.
Who knows?
All right. Have a good night.
Peace out, y'all.
Woo!